Welcome everybody to the Keys to Wisdom channel. So in my last video I put out, I made a little comment on my own video showing an anagram of Sapientia to Sapien to Ion, or to AI. Alright, so Sapientia, meaning wisdom. Right, the first of the O antiphons, December 17th. So Sapientia meaning wisdom. Now I'm going to do an anagram of it using the exact same letters. In here it says Sapien to AI, and what it's conveying is human to artificial intelligence. So I was making a comment on my other video just showing this anagram, and at the time when I made the comment I didn't actually realize how much wisdom is related to changing Sapientia to Sapien to AI. So now I'm going to put in what the AI is, artificial intelligence, right? And this is applicable to our times right now, right? And as soon as I did that, and that's the first one that I did, I said, wow, all right, here's our 9438. This is our LISREL number, candidates list number 2496. It's our 7th day, right? These are all years that the Anno Mundi or Hebrew calendar have experienced, and then when the Anno Domini calendar came into existence, that they have experienced up into the point of the last one, 1997, which is the 26th one, right? And 6 different times the AD Anno Domini calendar and Anno Mundi calendar were both operating according to this LISREL number candidates list on one of these LISREL numbers across the 3,761 year bridge. The year first one started 1497 AD, and it was 5258 AM, Anno Mundi, Hebrew calendar. So Gregorian 1497, Hebrew 5258. 1497 plus 3761 equals 5258. Then it happened again, second time, 1587, 5348, 1677, right? Our anagrams of USA, 1776, 5438, 1767, the second anagram of 1776, 5528, and that's the 4th time. 5th time, 1857 AD, 5618 AM, Hebrew calendar. And the last time that it occurred, the 6th time, was 1947 AD and 5708 AM, the creation of Israel. Right, and this same 3761 year bridge ties the conception of Israel, 1947 AD, and the birth of Israel, 1948 AD, to the Hebrew year 5708 AM, which is also 1947, the conception of Abraham, birth of Abraham, 1948 AM, right? So the links are Israel and Abram through this, right? And this AD calendar system didn't even exist the first 525 years of it. It wasn't until what we call now 525 AD where the system was put together, and the basis of the two calendar systems, I won't say the basis of the two calendar system, but the basis of what time the AD calendar system says comes directly from this Lifetrail Numbers Candidates list, and it was set up according to the 3,761 year bridge to go in harmony with the AM calendar. This was a choice that was made by the church based upon these numbers. That's the only reason that it says today is 2025. This Lifetrail Numbers Candidates list is the only reason why. And then the seventh time that it'll occur is 2496. And that would be the Hebrew year, AM year 6257. Right? So when I put that in, Sapien to AI, add the artificial intelligence, now I'm beginning to see a lot of the wisdom that goes according to the two calendar systems. The year of the world, Anno Mundi, the year of the Lord, Anno Domini Dumini. And now I'm going to put in over here what the Sapien means, which means human. So when I first saw that, the 9438 and the seventh day, the seventh instance, the 2496, I knew, well, that was significant. Well, now when I put this on over here, here it is, the 1 and the 3761. So the way that the calendars are set up, and it makes 3761 BC year 1 AM, Anno Mundi. The Hebrew calendar's year 1 is the year 3761 of the BC calendar. The very first day of the Hebrew calendar is October 7th, 3761 BC. All right, and all that bullshit that happened with Israel on October 7th in 2023, right, was an anniversary. It was a New Year's deal to the very first day of October 10th, 3761 BC, and that's the bridge. And then when it restarts, the AM Hebrew year 3761 is 1 BC and 1 AD. Because the switch goes from 1 BC to 1 AD, and all of it occurs in the 3761 of the Hebrew calendar, the AM calendar, the year of the world. So when I did that, then it was even bigger. And then I pull it out, just this. All right, so we got our 9438, 13761, and now we have our other 2017. This is the other part of the wisdom. And it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, C, right? 1200 time. C lock. The clock. That's what everything operates on. That's a tie. Possibility of washing. But it's not washing. No tie. DC. And at this point, here is the 1216 and the 1261. Right? Which is C 1221. This X. D 1661. Right in the numbers, it's saying DC, 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 here in these numbers, right? And then what the DC stands for, because each age is 1008 years, is 2016 years. But there was no year 0 in that AD calendar. It begins at year 1. It ends at BC year 1. It begins at AD year 1. So it's actually 2016 plus 1 equals 2017 for 2016 years to be completed by our AD system. And then again here is this the same setup of the 12/21 1661. Now the inauguration day for the USA, the presidential election race that occurred in 2016, the president, which happens to be Donald Trump, was sworn in on 1/20/17. That's how you would express it. Month 1, day 20, year 17. And that's a basic formula. 2017 minus 1 equals 2016. So this whole DC thing, which is the G, and in the last video I was showing some of the instances in Washington DC, Washington G, of the different Masonic designs of the compass and the square and relating to the White House. There's actually many more instances and different things going on there with the compass and the square and the symbol of the Mason G in DC, not Washington DC, than what I showed. But that's part of this Sapien. Oops. Sapien to AI. Sapien meaning human. And this is our 2017. It's our tie-in to the wisdom. Right. Novus Ordo Seclorum. New order of the ages. Something I'm pondering on in terms of Mount Zion thing. Not Washington DC, Mount Zion. Basically, anything you can do, I can do better than you. So it goes AB, the falls at C, Zion from C to Y. First time it becomes Zion at Z. Instead of continuing into Zion, it's cut, brings it back out of linear fashion into cyclical fashion to the C for the 1200, the offering of for two to make peace with each other into one house. Once it gets refused, that offering gets refused, it's by the C, the DC, and then at that point, right, where it says not Washington DC, the thought would be that the D would begin to do the same thing that the C did and hold it into eternal Mount Zion territory, not Zion, Mount Zion. So this is the tie-in here of the 2017, 2016, plus 1, the C and the D, the DC, the 2017, the whole Trump time period. I'm going to put back in the artificial intelligence. Oops. $37.61, that's the connections. All the years, that's how they line up. 37.61 and 1, 37.61 and 1 and 1. All lines up. The only reason our calendar was saying 2016 and 2017 at that Trump period of time was because of this Lifetrail Numbers candidates list and that 3761 year bridge, which is the entire basis of why time is formulated to say what it is right now. Pull it out. That's it. Right? 2496, reverse, 9438. Into here, the secondary keys, 764, 566, right, of O Sapientia, Sapien to AI, right, Washington, D.C., these are those keys here, the G, Washington G, right, the Masonic building, right, the reason that Washington, D.C. is laid out the way it is because of the Masonic influence on all of the founders of Washington, D.C. The compass, the square, the whole thing, everything in the symbolism of the compass, the square, and the letter G within for the Masons, it's all in Washington, D.C., not Washington, D.C. The O and Tiffins, right? It's that mirror of not Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C., right? And this whole thing basically steps out and it says the siphon to an. Right? And the siphon means that you're sucking off of something, right? And that's what the DC or the G is. In the A, B, C to Z, back to C, then to the D, and then it repeating CD, 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 eternal Mount Sion is siphoning charge to Sion. Anything you can do, I can do better than you. So the thought process would be that the one time Zion would have only taken charge one time in all of time, and then it would begin Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages, CD, 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 which would be why all of the same shit is repeated over and over. The ages, the things don't turn, right? Like if you watch any of the Levette videos and shit, and she goes over different ages, this and that, and saying about, oh, they're changing all the symbolism, they're rewriting all the different ages back into the same shit for the same power control to stay in effect, rather than the ages moving in a fashion that would be along linear time, poles switching, power bases switching back and forth. It's held on one single pole, one single power base, and each time a new set of ages, 2016 years, occurs, the same groups are rewriting everything to fit those new ages into their same power base, maintaining control, right? Which is basically how one family has managed to go all around this world and control at this moment absolutely every single government in the entire nation, in the entire world, with any type of power and ability at all. It's all one, right? The one world order, or the new world order. It's been instituted for a long time, right? So the very same power family right now would be the same power family at the time of Jesus, right? They wouldn't have started moving on the Americas until right here, 1497, John Cabot, right? But they would have been actively moving and controlling all of the different nations and groups within what's called the old world before the new world
was opened up. This is almost like there's some kind of covenant deal that up until this point it would be left alone, and then after this point it would be taken over by
that family, right? The old antiphons, the 7 days leading up to Christmas, December 17th to December
24th. Right? The old antiphons.
the siphon to Anne,
Washington, D.C.
right? Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages, DC, 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 right? And then the way that they have our elections built in the USA is also, right, according to this. Right? C, to make peace. The wash, right? A wash is a tie. 1200, 1200. This is also symbolic of
the hours, the equinox days. And then here, not Washington, D.C. This whole thing is tied to these elections in 2016.
plus one, 2017, which is the requirement to fulfill 2016 years. And the date of inauguration is also directly tied. It's a formula. The 1/20/17 is a formula back to that 2016 years. So the elections, this is about when Donald Trump was first sat in the White House. That is the tip of the compass. Now, when I shared on my video, I just went to Google Maps and I zoomed in on Washington, D.C. in the area of the White House, right? It's very clear that that's the compass coming out from the White House, right? There, the symbolism there is that the White House, from the White House, they're acting just like the great architect is in the pictures that you see operating the compass, right? The great architect is operating the compass on the entire world, right? The great architect of the world, great architect of the universe. That's the symbolism. Now, when I drew in the part of the square, it's not an actual, it's not the actual degrees of the square I drew in red just across the roads there, right? But it is implying, it's 100%, it's everything on the compass. It's showing the idea of the square there, but there's what it's possibly showing is an error, right? Rather than the real deal, something that is square is also even, a wash. A square is a wash, is a tie, right? We're square, we're even. It's a wash, we're even, right? The distorted square that is shown from the White House with that compass there, it's possibly intended to be on purpose, right? It's in your plain sight saying, well, this is a warped deal. This is what's operating the compass there on everything in the world, which the USA as the superpower deal, right? That's what they're fucking trying to do to the entire world, is be the great architect operator of that compass. Right? It's saying that they're not square, they're deformed, they're not even, right? That's what the name, not Washington, D.C., not Washington, G, means. Not, no tie. We're above everybody. We're above the all. We're the most high, right? O Sapientia or O Sapientia.
The word coming out of the mouth of the Most High, mightily and sweetly reaching from one end to the other, ordering all things. Right? The saying of that, the saying of O Sapientia, that's what is the White House in Washington, D.C., and the USA
Seat, which is that family. Every single one of our presidents, except for maybe Eisenhower, is to that very same family,
right, is orchestrating everything in the world in the role of the Most High, the great architect, the one in control and manipulating, measuring, doing everything out of that seat
there in the White House. That's just the Masonic symbolism
of the White House and the layouts, the roads there. Now, another thing here,
right? I'm just straight up with this. It's just straight up an anagram using the exact same letters.
but this word sapien also is Israel. So now we're getting outside of
Actual anagram in terms of letter only anagram, and it's now to the point of a numeric anagram, right? But this relates here, right? Israel to AI, which is saying, right, the Israel, just like the same way I put it out here, what human, sapien, human, Israel, human. So now here it's saying the human aspect of Israel is being transmuted to AI, to artificial intelligence, right? Which is all this Zionist bullshit going on basically all over the world, right? It's saying the real deal, right? It's all based on this. This is everything. This is why Israel was born conceived in 1947, born in 1948, which both are the AM Hebrew year of the world, 5708. Human Israel to AI, artificial intelligence, right? What's going on here, and when the wisdom of what's being said here, when we've got it to Israel to AI instead of sapien to AI, it's saying that the human aspect of Israel, the real people of Israel who are scattered all around the world, have been transmuted to an artificial Israel, which is the nation of Israel, to where now the inhabitants of the modern nation of Israel, which are basically Khazars, Ukrainian and Russian Khazars, who converted themselves to Israel because of what was said within the Bible, all of that. That's what it's basically saying, right? That the real people of Israel, the human aspect of Israel, is still scattered all over the world. What is in the modern nation of Israel is an artificial intelligence, AI construct that is not real. It is the work of the synagogue of Satan. And the word synagogue of Satan is not just the people there that say they are Jews but they're not, but it's all the Christian Zionists who, like Trump is, Biden is, right? This whole transition deal going on here in this time frame is from Christian Zionist Biden to Christian Zionist Donald Trump, right?
it's the Christian Zionists that are backing up Israel that
are actually responsible, right? The nation of Israel wasn't formed by even those Khazars. It was formed by Christian nations and Christian Zionists. And the time to match it up to Abraham and Israel together, the timing that the calendar says was also set up by Rome in the church, Christian nations, Christian Zionists, right? And they're all together, the Christian Zionists and those in the modern nation of Israel, they're all the synagogue of Satan, the synagogue of Sat, right? Human Israel to AI, artificial intelligence. This is the bridge, this is the mechanism. That sixth time, right? Because it's also going according to Genesis 1. Genesis 1 to 25. 125, 1947. 126, 1997. But this is massive amounts of wisdom that's all within here, because this whole thing is all about the times, the years 1 and the years 3761. They always ride together, and it was all set up in 525 AD. Right? This again is the time, and what the whole time basis of the time is right here is this Lysrael number candidates list. Right? 1947 plus 7491 is 9438. All 6 of these instances, and then the 7th one that occurs, 2496, them in the reverse, are all 9438. And then they bridge over to the Anno Mundi Hebrew calendar with the 3761 year bridge to all of these dates, so that in different periods they are occurring at the same time. Right? 1947, 5708, going on at the exact same time. Then what was, I gotta brush up a little bit on this. All right, so the first 45, the year 3761 would come in here, right, before the 3763. At the second time that 45 sequence, the 45th time is that 5708. I gotta brush up on some of my own work, but this is type of wisdom that you'll find nowhere else in the world. There's nobody else in the world that has taught or shown anybody the relationship between the calendars and the Lysrael number candidates list and Abraham and Israel and all of the things that I have, right? And this is all being shown, right, through that phrase, O Sapientia, or O Sapientia, artificial intelligence, Sapien to AI, human, Sapien to AI, artificial intelligence, right? And every which way that you put it together, right? You put the human on the left, very significant, the 2017, the whole thing, everything to do with the DC and the G, all together. You put the artificial intelligence on the one side, the 9438, the whole basis of the timing, and the Lysrael number candidates list. And you put human on the left for Sapien, artificial intelligence on the right for AI, and it shows the 13761, the basis of it all tying together. Major amounts of wisdom. And then right within here, this is showing Washington, D.C. It's showing the O antiphons, right? Another way to get there is and sat, aka Santa or Satan. You put one code on there, that's the deal. The second code on there, that's O Sapientia, O Sapientia, Sapien to AI, and sat code is a decoder. O Sapientia. So when I was making the comment on the video about it, about how to take a look at that anagram using the exact thing, the exact same letters, Sapien to AI, well, that's just the very tip of the iceberg, right? You take this O Sapientia, you rearrange it into an anagram, Sapien to AI, which is our little area here, right? That's the big thing right now, and everybody is debating the wisdom or the lack of wisdom in terms of this whole transformation or transmutation from sapien to AI, from human to artificial intelligence. Is it wise? Is it unwise? Right? Is it wisdom? Is it folly? Right? That's a big thing, right? Like for a long time, this old Sapientia sat there like this, and nobody could relate it into an anagram form, sapien to AI, and have anything to do with artificial intelligence. Not until more recent times, right? There would be there's no way in these past times prior to AI and artificial intelligence and all this modern bullshit that's going on, you wouldn't be able to relate it into the things that you can right now, sapien to AI, right? That's our period. We're in that period, the age of sapien to AI, human to artificial intelligence, oh sapientia, right? Wisdom. There's a lot of things to it. So I wanted to just come out and I'm just getting started on this subject here, being led back to it by my one-of-a-kind painting that I picked up in 2012 from a group who left it for me out in front of my mailbox. The group was basically a group of stalkers, very similar to the Priory of Sion type of group, and I just started re-examining the painting the other day and discovering some serious things that I had overlooked in the last 12, 13 years that I've had a hold of that painting. But I'm going to put this out here with a little bit of talking about it, illustrating some stuff so that people can get more of a gist what I'm talking about in terms of these relations and these kickoffs, how I'm kicking off to Washington, D.C. to the old antiphons from this phrase, O Sapientia, and looking for the wisdom, converting Washington, D.C. to Washington, G, looking for that the same great architect and Masonic symbolism going on, right? Taking O Sapientia, rearranging it and reading into it deeply to reveal so many of the other things, the components that are to it that reveal wisdom. Right? That's what I was doing in my prior video, but I'm doing more of that here, right? When you're looking at this in old Sapientia, in the meaning that most of the people will get from it is wisdom or old wisdom, right? There's a lot to it. There's layers and layers and layers to it. And some of those layers here, I just showed you how these layers talk about human to artificial intelligence. How in the layers it talks about Washington, D.C. It talks about the old antiphons, right? And when I do and sat, but we'll go Santa in this version, in the code, right? Those old antiphons, the 7 old antiphons, December 17th to 24th, right? Because of the way they've got everything set up in the world, right? That they lead right to Santa, too. They lead right to Santa. The old antiphons, the wisdom within them, that's what they lead right to Santa. And Satan, North Pole, the whole deal. But there's actually a lot more layers to this and more things that I'll be able to do with it in the future. But I wanted to come out and show and explain some of this because people are able to comprehend me a lot better when I add all of these gibberish, incomplete, in terms of being understood words all around the whole situation, right? All the different bits and pieces, the small amounts of each word that people do know, right? That little tiny amount of things, they all add up and they help somebody else to grasp more of what I'm showing. But the reality is just like I'm showing here with old Sapientia, and the layers and layers and layers to it, and more meanings and wisdom to it. All of the different words, they go so far beyond the very limited small amount of understanding and meaning that people get from them. They're all deeper connected to other things, showing other things. Ways to flush them out are through those anagrams, the regular anagrams using the same letters. Then there's numeric anagrams, numeric connections out to the other things, connections into time, connections into the calendars, on and on and on and on and on, right? It's like an onion. Every word is an onion with layers and layers and layers and layers to it. Just like Sapientia here, I started to peel the onion here and show a little bit of that to you and explain it to you using all kinds of other words that are also all onions with layers and layers and layers and layers and layers to them. Same thing with when things have happened in time, like the 1776 in the USA and Washington, D.C. and John Cabot and all kinds of different things. There's layers and layers and layers and layers. In Israel, 5708, 1947, 1948, 5708, Israel, Abraham. The times that things happen and we are told in our systems, they're also like an onion. There's layers and layers and layers of things related to the time that these things have happened. It's not just one instance. The USA was founded in 1776. I mean, there's a massive onion. There's layers and layers and layers of relation to why, right? And all of these different things. And it's so deep that even though I'm the most advanced reader in this entire world, a lot of the stuff still blows right by me. But I do my best to peel into the onions, show other people how to peel the onions, get to the different layers, and then those who have learned from me many times also share things with me, and I pick up, I'm able to pick up some stuff from them. And even others who refuse to do any of the stuff that I do, or peel into anything, or go about doing anything in the way that I do, I'm able to look at the stuff that they're doing and pick up some things as well that I always eventually link back into the ways that I go about doing everything, which is using the living word, right, as the compass, as the square, as the guide to it all, right? And just like where I said the A, B, C, D, the alphabet, the way it's laid out, A, B, C to Z, there's a whole onion to it, and the whole repeating nature of it, and the repeating of our days, and the repeating of our years, and the repeating of our great years. There's onions. They're all onions, and there's layers and layers and layers to the stories of why all of the things are the way that they are, why they occur, why they're timed like that. The timing of the moon cycles, the sunset, you name it, all of it has a ton more to it. And of course, like it should, all of it relates to, flows through the living word, because that's what has constructed all of it. That's why when I show you all this stuff here, it all flows together. I shall numbers its list, right? That's what it's called. That's what it flows on. That's what it's all based on. The whole thing is about the number and the reverse number being added into infinity, right? Certain numbers will never produce a rep digit the same forwards as it does backwards, right? These are very, very, very unique numbers, although lots of them are connected to each other. There's a redundancy. One day I'll really cut this down into the small amount of numbers that comprises all of these, right? All of these are layers of onion, just a few onions that represent all of these other numbers, because they're further on down in the sequence. Right? Abraham, right? Like here, it's 1947 plus 7491 equals 9438. Now I add the word Abraham, and it's 1948 plus 8491 equals 10439. And why does it go exactly along? What are the 2 years that are the 5708, 1948, 1947? Right? In Israel, that's the conception of Abraham, the birth of Abraham, the conception of modern nation of Israel, the birth of the modern nation of Israel, 3,761 year bridge, that whole deal. Why does it all work out? Well, because it's all built through this, the living word, right? When you just have the letters and that's all you got, it's very, very dead word. When you have the word completed to
full fruition, like the way that I share it and use it and show it, then you have the living word. And everything that is living and constructed is all made through it, operates through it. Right? So that's why I can show these things over and over and over again, all of their connections to them. And when I talk about it, right, you can follow the logic. You understand the logic. This is the Lie-Shrell numbers candidates list. The whole deal. I show you the basis, the bridges. I add the name of Abraham to it. Boom, boom. Israel. How it's all tied together. The AD, the AM system, Hebrew, Gregorian system, all that. Boom. And it's backed up by layers and layers and layers of things because, right, that's, like I said, there's more to everything. Every phrase, every word, everything that happened at a certain amount of time, it all has much, much more to it. And then when you get it into a living word form rather than a dead word form, this is basically what I show you is the word resurrected from the dead. Right? Then you can begin to peel away each and every one of those onions. See the other things that those words are showing, saying, conveying, connecting to, and then you can put it all together in different ways like I've been doing and showing since J-Day 10/31/13/2013. But anyways, I'm going to end that here, and with all of that said, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you think that's something you should do. Then have a nice night.